Folks, we're going to have time for 3 more questions, then we're going to let Larry get a chance to mingle with a lot of you and say hi to some of his old classmates and things. So 3 more questions, and we're going to wrap it up.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Larry. My name is Robin Kesslinger. How are you?
Hi, Robin.
From Robin and Rhonda. I have some pictures for you.
Neil, Robin Kesslinger, twin. Where's your twin? Where's your sister?
She is in New Jersey today, and I was elected to come.
Rhonda, right?
Yes, we're proud of you.
It's great to see you. You look great.
Very good. Thank you. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, that brings me to my question. I went to Dewey also. I have 0 memory of you in Dewey, I guess from the generous attendance policy. I do remember you, of course, from PS 100 and Reynolds. We have been debating ever since you started writing for Fridays, but particularly when you became well-known, is the character for George Costanza, the employment counselor, when he was looking for a job, is that based on Mrs. Sweedler? We remember, it is based on Mrs. Sweedler. All right, thank you. Did you or did you not reference Jody Hirsch? Because this is, okay, we have to go look that up. And
who I had a crush on also.
We know, we want to be mentioned in your next big film. And then we remember you used your real name, of course, in the pilot for Curb Your Enthusiasm. Are there any other references from your childhood from Chum Village, of which I am the sole remaining occupant?
The biggest reference of all, which I'm glad you brought up, actually. I don't know how deeply into Seinfeld you are, but if you remember, Kramer has an unseen friend named Bob Sacamono. Bob Sacamono was my best friend. And I remember him, he was upset, actually, because the first time we used his name, it was about these condoms that had broke. George got this girl pregnant. Actually, I won an Emmy for that episode also. The Fix-Up it was called. But Bob Sacamono was, and here's the story about Bob Sacamono that I want to tell you. Interestingly, hello, this just went dead. This went dead. It's back, okay, great. Anyway, very quickly. I had grown up in Trump Village, as I said, went to PS 100, then I went to Reynolds. All the same people, with Robin and Rhonda and all those people who went to PS 100, we all went to the same school. When we got to 9th grade, I was already so tired of all the violence and brutality and sadism, I wanted to see if I could break away and get out somehow. I applied to the High School of Art and Design, I applied to the High School of Music and Art, I actually got in, and my parents wouldn't let me go because they didn't want me traveling to Manhattan every day. Dewey was open, had just opened a couple years before, and I applied to Dewey and I got in. I talked Bob Sacamono into going with me. And so the first week, he was the only person I knew in the school. I didn't know anybody in the school except for Bob. Robert, as we called him, Sac, as we actually called him. And I remember so well trying to adjust and so happy to have the friend. And then Sac came up to me after a week at the school, 1 week, and he said, I can't take it here. And he went back to Lincoln and left me alone. And so Bob Sacamono, the legendary cult figure from the show, actually attended Dewey for 1 week. Yeah. Very typical of him, by the way.
Yeah, I'm George Altamari. I'm with the United Federation of Teachers and was vice president when the school was designed, and I did a lot to help launch the school. But I want to know if 2 things. One, are you aware that this Wednesday at City Hall at 4 o'clock, we're having a huge demonstration to try to save the school budget. Otherwise, there'll be layoffs of teachers and you name it, you know? And so, number one, are you aware of it? And if you could attend and speak, I'd have to get it okay on that. Would you be anxious to do that?
I would absolutely love to. Unfortunately, I am leaving on Sunday because I have to come back to do Curb in about 2 weeks. So I have to go back to LA tomorrow. I got here this morning, and I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So I came just for this, and then I have to go home.
Okay.
And hopefully this will help in some way, I hope. But I wish I could be there. I would come, and I would be happy to talk at that thing. But I won't be in New York next week. I will be in New York in about 2 weeks.
But your spirit will be there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I would like that.
Yeah, I had one question to close on a totally different note. A lot of people think that, well, I think that Lorne Michaels changed the world in 1976 by constantly bashing Gerald Ford on Saturday Night Live and making Jimmy Carter look like this suave, debonair, hip guy. Do you think that if Fridays had been more successful, Reagan wouldn't have gotten elected in '84?
Well, you know, what's interesting about Fridays that people don't realize is that Saturday Night Live is owned by NBC, and therefore NBC always made all the profits from Saturday Night Live, and which motivated them to keep it on the air. Fridays was not owned by ABC. Fridays was owned by a production company, and it wasn't nearly as a profitable thing. However, at a certain point in our history on Fridays, we came on at the time when Saturday Night Live was at its lowest ebb. It was a very unsuccessful few years of Saturday Night Live, and we were actually beating them in the ratings on a regular basis. But ABC was not happy because they weren't making the money from it, and so they decided to put on Nightline and move Fridays back an hour, and that's sort of what killed that show. So actually, for a while there was a lot of buzz about the show, and it was really doing well, and there was some breakout characters and things. And obviously, Michael Richards and Larry David went on to great success beyond that. But I think that you never know, as I said, you never know where the impact is going to happen. You never know what project is going to be the project that has the impact. And sometimes it's the last thing you could imagine. So I think that Saturday Night Live at that time also, remember, it was pre-cable too. We're talking about a time when a TV show like All in the Family or Good Times or The Jeffersons or that CBS block of shows, they were getting like 30, 40 million people a week watching the show. Today, if you get 6, 8 million people watching that same show, it's considered a success. So it's a much more fragmented audience now, and it's much harder to unify that audience like it was back in the day.
Okay, and to close it, Mr. Charles?
Yes.
Hi. Joseph Perez, class of '89, and now assistant principal in this place.
Congratulations. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm just curious. Again, with such a proliferation of animated comedies on the air, are you a fan of any, and which ones specifically?
Well, I'm a fan of animation in general. I like Family Guy and The Simpsons and all those shows. They're all great. My son is a Family Guy freak.
Love Family Guy.
He's even more into it than I am. I'm personally into the Adult Swim stuff.
Yes.
You know, I watch a lot of Adult Swim. And I'm working on an animated project as well called Classless, which is a really cool project that might wind up on Adult Swim or something like that. So I did animation here, as I said. I was the cartoonist for a lot of the papers, and I took an animation class here, and it turned me on to all that stuff, really. And I've always been a cartoon fan, but I find that Adult Swim is doing kind of the most interesting stuff. But yes, The Simpsons is a classic, obviously. Family Guy is great. You know, I love South Park also. I love South Park too. South Park's a more difficult show, but a very edgy show, kind of what we're talking about, trying to have an impact on the zeitgeist, on the dialogue that's going on in the society. All right, thank you guys. I'll hang out for a while too, thanks.
Thank you, Larry. And thank you everybody for coming to the 40th anniversary reunion of John Dewey High School. And you all have a safe journey home. Thank you so much, and just join our Alumni Association. Thank you, Larry. Mugs for sale. Oh, we have mugs for sale, $5. It's a cheap price. Good.